a god of snakes, vegetation, and the underworld. Featuring two serpents, one on each shoulder, this is Ningishzida, a deity of ancient Mesopotamia and the likely inspiration for Mesmer the Impaler, our serpentine demigod of the Land of Shadow. In a recent video by another creator, GamePlus the Alchemist, a strong argument is made for the similarities between Mesmer and this Ningishzida. GamePlus's video makes the argument pretty clear, so I would recommend watching it. But to present it in short, Ningishzida is the son of a warrior god who resides over the underworld. He has domain or connection with snakes and vegetation, as well as being depicted as having two snakes emerging from his shoulders or back. Symbols associated with him feature two intertwining snakes, sometimes around a staff, similar to both Mesmer's staff and this new sigil. There is a lot to connect the Sumerian god with Mesmer, and if it is his inspiration, which I am inclined to think it is, then this god's name reveals a very key part of the lore of the DLC. See, the name Ningishzida possibly means Lord Goodtree or Lord of the Goodtree, or something like that. This is not only more reason to believe the connections between Mesmer and this god, but it also may reveal part of Mesmer's role in the world of Elden Ring, and why we might be seeing him in this DLC. Ningishzida being a god of vegetation and having the name Lord of the Good Tree very much indicate that he is deeply connected with plants, crops, growing, and the life development of trees, a very central theme for a lot of Elden Ring. With him as the inspiration for Mesmer, we can expect some, if not all, of these roles to carry over to the Impaler. And we cannot ignore someone with the title of Tree Lord in a game like Elden Ring, where trees, especially great ones, are a core focal point of the universe. Obviously, there is the Erdtree, which stands as a great and imposing tree and center of the lands between. But in the DLC, we have a few more making an appearance too. Ever since the first DLC reveal image, a point of focus has been the Great Dark Tree combo featured in the distance, where we seem to be seeing one dark tree coil around another tree and wring the golden life or sap out of it. If Mesmer is the lord in this land of shadow, which we have reason to believe since he is a demigod with his own throne in the area, then given his potential inspiration name, it's not surprising to find some significant trees here. But that's only the start of the implications. This connection might also explain why Miquella has come to this land and what we may be doing in our following of him. Any of you who know the story of Miquella are aware that back in the lands between, his great effort was to create and grow the Halig tree, even watering it with his own blood to try to do so. Miquella sought to rid the lands between of the meddling outer gods, and he tried to create his own great tree to do so, a rival and replacement to the Erdtree, which the current Golden Order is centered on. But he failed. As we see in game, the Halig tree never fully grew into what Miquella intended, but now it seems like he might not have given up. Miquella divested himself of his body and his golden lineage to come to the Land of Shadow, the starting place of his mother Marika, which was long ago sealed or hidden away, obscured by the Erdtree. We have been told this is where the goddess Marika first set foot, so it makes sense Miquella might come here looking for power or a way to rival the order his mother set up. But now we know of a more specific reason he may have come here too. The Land of Shadow, which has also been set ablaze by Mesmer's flame, we are told, may be the land where Miquella can succeed in growing a new tree. Or it at least might hold the secret to giving him the ability to do so. If Mesmer is the Lord of the Good Tree, along with being a demigod son of Marika, he might have a special power relating to the growing and development of the Erdtree, or any great tree like it. He could have been a vital component in the original growing of the Erdtree in the past and the ushering in of the original Age of Plenty. In his video, GamePlus speculates that Mesmer and Marika may have had a falling out about what to do after the Erdtree finished growing and stopped giving out blessings. What to do after the holy, glorious tree your entire society is built around becomes kind of a lifeless dud. We know that in her past, Marika was big on keeping the Order going. She removed destined death from the Order to prevent any real dying, even if that act meant stagnation. If we follow this and assume she always thought like this in the past, then maybe she wanted to do the same with the Erdtree, keep it around even though it had stopped producing fruit. But Mesmer, being the lord of the good tree and harnessing a strong flame, may have believed that as the tree was stagnating or decaying, it should be burned so that a new one could be grown. This would line up with him being inspired by a god of vegetation. The circle of life is dependent upon life growing and eventually dying to give sustenance to new life. So Mesmer might be really keen on keeping that cycle naturally going, and Marika might not care about that aspect as much. Plus, there are real trees in our world that can only reproduce amidst or after forest fires, like redwood trees. This concept could serve as more inspiration for the story and setup of Mesmer. Marika and the Order struggle with this idea of letting go, so imagining that they would have been against Mesmer wanting to burn the tree down isn't too hard to believe. Just like Gwyn of Dark Souls 1, Marika would have wanted to prolong the Golden Age as much as she could. And if Mesmer tried to go against her, we can see how the Land of Shadow became concealed. Mesmer, acting against the goddess Marika, would have been deemed a traitor, like Lucifer turning against God, and he in the Land of Shadow would have been sealed off, hidden away by Marika, her potential firstborn, branded a traitorous snake, making full the allegory. The lore theories of a previous burning of the Erdtree could be viewed as Mesmer's attempt to burn the Erdtree down, or even him burning down a different older tree to make way for the Erdtree, which would support the idea that he's in favor of burning trees down once they reach the end of their life cycle. Maybe it was in this potential fire that Melena's body was burned. Either way, if anything like this is true, we would have a good reason why Miquella would come to this land. He is here to finally finish growing his new tree. Mesmer, or something related to him in this Land of Shadow, could be the key reason why the Erdtree was able to grow. And after failing to create the Haligtree into something more, Miquella is here to get Mesmer's help, or otherwise use the tree growing power in the region to make a new tree. To grow a new tree might require burning down the old one. We see in our endings of the game that even to change the order, we have to burn the Erdtree with the giant's flame. In the Order endings, we restore the tree but change it in accordance with which path we take. In the other two endings, we either completely obliterate the tree with the Flame of Frenzy, or we leave it behind with Ranni's venturing into space. But in all of them, the tree must burn before we may move forward. Looking to the DLC, Miquella would obviously be okay with some arson since he wants to nuke the Order and any influence from the Outer Gods anyway. And in our speculative fanfiction, Mesmer would also be ready to burn the tree down to make way for a proper new one. So maybe Miquella is looking to recruit Mesmer to help him burn the current tree and grow a new one, free from Outer God meddling. But if that is the case, it will have to be explored without producing a wholly new ending at the actual end of the game, since we have been told that we aren't getting a literal new ending sequence. Though to be fair, the Ring City DLC for Dark Souls 3 didn't create a new ending to the base game, but it did give a thematically new ending that really did close out the whole game and series in a new way, even if it wasn't a literal new ending at the very end of the game. So something similar could work here. And another potential fly in the ointment of this theory is that Mesmer refers to Marika in at least a neutral tone in the trailer when remarking on us, the Tarnished. If he is still chill with her, this could upend our theory about their conflict. Or maybe the theory is still right, but Mesmer just doesn't hold grudges that much. In my opinion, I think there's too much to this theory for it to be completely off base. Mesmer is likely Marika's firstborn, given the statue of her behind him, which is unlike any of the statues we see in the lands between of her. The Land of Shadow has other evidence for it being an older land than the base game too, like how it houses an older culture. All of this together points to Mesmer's story being an old one, interlinked with the origin of Marika and likely the Erdtree. And we have just seen a decent story tying all of that together. Plus, in this story, Miquella gets to keep his old main goal of building a new tree. His motivations remain the same, which again makes me think that Mesmer's inspiration really is Ningishzida. Obviously, we don't know for certain, but the signs are hard to argue with. If you think this is convincing, or if you don't, let me know why in the comments. Of course, another shout out to Game Plus The Alchemist for the great discovery and video exploring more of the actual inspiration material. Go check it out for a deeper Sumerian breakdown. I plan on covering more lore of Mesmer and the DLC in the coming weeks and months, so stick around if you're interested. Thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons for their support, and see you in the next video. Peace.